What's up, YouTube? Got a list to do today. These are the top 5 most underrated yo-yos. Alright, top 5 most underrated yo-yos. These are yo-yos that I feel like when they came out, they sort of slipped under the radar, but are awesome and really deserved more hype than they got. They're yo-yos in my collection that just get a ton of play even still, and I've had most of these for quite a while now, and they still get pretty regular play, and I feel like they're good for a lot of things. So without further ado, let's get into the top 5 most underrated yo-yos. Number 5, I know this one gets some hype and got some hype and some fanfare, but I feel like it's so good it should have gotten a lot more. The Duncan Origami. So the Duncan Origami is Brian Jardin's signature yo-yo. It comes with a counterweight, and I gotta say, this is a great yo-yo for literally everything. I have carried this yo-yo a ton. It was my EDC for a long time, and it's just it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic for a long time. I've had this now for going on, I got it right when it came out, I think. Right around, it came out, I think the end of 2016. I got it right about then, and it's been fantastic ever since. It's got a great grind finish. The weight is perfect. It's nice and wide. It's very stable. I mean, it's just an awesome yo-yo. This is like one of the yo-yos that really gave me a love for monometals. I mean, this yo-yo is just so good, and I felt like it kind of blew away everything in its price range. It's like $50 or like $55 for splashes, and I feel like at that price point, it just kind of blew everything away, especially at the time. And to this day, I still think it's a great yo-yo, and I still carry it a lot, and I still have it on me a lot. And it looks great, it plays great still. It's taken some hits and dings and scrapes and scuffs, but it keeps going. It's really smooth. It's just really good. And the fact that it's still not it hasn't been elevated to like shutter status of like legendary. I think is criminally underrated for this, because it's a fantastic yo-yo. Probably one of the best yo-yos Duncan has ever put out. But yeah, the Duncan Origami, number 5 on my most underrated yo-yos. Alright, number 4 most underrated yo-yos. The Yo-Yo Factory Aviator 2. So the Aviator 2 is Luis Enrique's signature yo-yo. It's been out for quite a while, and I feel like it just got like one run, but it was a big run, or maybe 1 or 2 runs, like right off the bat, right when Yo-Yo Factory was really putting out some of their most iconic stuff. And I feel like this really got overshadowed by like the Shutter and the Horizon, because they came out right around in the same time, right? When all that stuff was coming out, this came out in the midst of that. And I honestly feel like this blows the Shutter and the Horizon way out of the water. But it kind of got overshadowed by the Shutter, by the Horizon, and I feel like never got the hype that it deserves, or the legendary status that it deserves, or the extra runs with the extra splashes and such that it deserved, and kind of just flew under everybody's radar. Everyone's like, oh yeah, that's a yo-yo, and then they sort of all forgot about it and moved on. But here we are still getting new colors of the Shutter and new colors of the Horizon, and updated versions of the Shutter and the Horizon, 3-4 years later, and the Aviator 2 is still just kind of stuck back in where it was. I don't think it's got a new color or a new run in quite some time. But I feel like the Aviator 2 is absolutely a yo-yo that holds up. It was a nice, light, nimble yo-yo back when yo-yos were much heavier on average. And the weight is good, the stability is great, the spin time is great. I love this shape. This is like one of my favorite shaped yo-yos, that like sort of rounded over H shape with that little undercut there. Just a phenomenal yo-yo, really great. I'd really like to see like maybe an Aviator 3, just maybe a tweaked design of this with like new colors and what have you. Maybe an Aviator Ultra or something would be really cool as well. I really think that this yo-yo deserves some love, deserves another run, some new splashes. I think that it's really good, and it's criminally underrated. In my opinion, because it just sort of flew under the radar and then just kind of never got any more support. And maybe maybe Luis doesn't compete that much. I know he won Mexican Nationals in 2017, but I haven't seen much from him. lately, but you know, it's his yo-yo. So, but I think it's awesome. It's one of my favorites. One of my favorite yo-yo factories, absolutely. And I've had this one for a long time, and it still gets played to this day. So, number 4 underrated yo-yo, the Yo-Yo Factory Aviator 2. All right, moving on. Number 3, the Ezekiel Spector. So this came out last year. I realized that it is a Yo-Yo Empire design, but just retweaked for Yo-Yo Ezekiel. But I gotta say, this thing is awesome. So it's machined polycarbonate. As you can see, it's got that nice frostiness. It grinds. This is like one of the nicest grinding yo-yos ever. Little ghosty in there, or Baby Groot, depending on how you want to look at it. See Baby Groot. Great for finger spins. Great for grinds. Very smooth. This is like this is a super smooth plastic yo-yo. Shockingly smooth. And I've kind of beat this around and carried it a bit, and it's still just as smooth as it was the day I got it. Actually, I think it changed the bearing too. It's still dead smooth. Really, only cons. I mean, I feel like Yo-Yo Ezekiel is kind of underrated as a whole brand because it's a lot of times just rebranded Yo-Yo Empire stuff. But for the longest time, they were the only supplier of Yo-Yo Empire anything. You just got it with the Ezekiel branding, and this to me it really kind of encapsulates what I really liked or continue to like about Ezekiel is they, you know, I think this was $26 at the time, but you could get them cheaper on Yo-Yo Sam. Yo-Yo Sam was the primary carrier of Yo-Yo Ezekiel. You could get them cheaper at the time on Yo-Yo Sam because Yo-Yo Sam was always running 15% off promotions or 20% off promotions, giving you gift cards or $5 off here, $5 off there. So I mean, you could really get this down to like $20, and this played up to, you know, the standards of at the time, you know, $45 or so plastic yo-yo. So really, just a really good plastic yo-yo. I feel like not a lot of people just kind of ignored it because it was Yo-Yo Ezekiel, but it's really, really good. And it's nice and wide. I like the shape a lot. It's very similar to the Too Sick Pawn, but I don't know, I like the Pawn. I think is a little more premium feeling, but this is still no slouch at all, especially for like half the price. Very smooth, very nice, well constructed, and it's been a mainstay since I got it, and just really good. It's a good yo-yo, and I feel like nobody knows, nobody has one. Get them, check them out. They're really fun. It's cheap too, so fun. Yo-Yo Ezekiel Spector. All right, now we kind of get into yo-yos that are sort of some of my favorites that I feel like kind of really just didn't get the hype, and like nobody really jumped on them, but I still play them a ton and carry them a ton. First one, number 2, being the CLYW and Yo-Yo Factory Base Camp Expedition. So the Expedition to me is sort of a like less wide. It's like the Orca meets the Aviator, sort of. That's kind of how I'm gonna say. They were like, oh, it's the Shutter meets the Aviator. I'm gonna say it's more or less the Orca meets the Aviator. It's not as wide as the Orca, but it's got a lot more rim weight and power. The cup is very similar to the Orca as well, except it's not a spike. It's just that little bump thing, kind of like they have on the Borealis. So same sort of thing as the Borealis there. I guess the rim is very Shutter-y, like that's sort of what the rim of the Shutter looks like, but it's definitely its own thing. And I think that this was absolutely the best mono metal that Basecamp put out. Now, I thought the Jackknife was terrible. You know, as far as mono metals were concerned, they really only put out 2 unresponsive ones. Yes, there was the Moonshine and the Sherpa, and they could go unresponsive, but I feel like for like, you know, standard competition spec type yo-yos, these were the way to go. And this one was really the best of the 2. The Jackknife wasn't very good, but I feel like this is sort of the like awesome yo-yo. This should have gotten a ton of hype because it's really great. It's powerful, it's stable, and it's nice and light. It's quick, it's long spinning, and it's got the CLYW snow tires in it, and the response is just perfection. Great for literally anything that you could want it to do. They came out with blasted ones. There were 2 runs of these. There was the sort of these are matted, but they're not blasted. Then there's another blasted version that came out that had just a great finish. Very smooth, able to take lots of beating and keep ticking. This was my This was my other EDC for a long time. This and these two were my EDCs, and still sort of are. They still get carried a lot, and they're still smooth. They're still fun. I mean, these sort of encapsulate everything that I want in a yo-yo. I think the price point that they got released at really is kind of what maybe hindered it at first, or just hindered it at all and kind of got it discontinued. They were $75, $75 for a mono metal that didn't have any splash, that were all solid colors. It's a little much. I think I said so at the time, but they eventually kind of got blown out. A lot of them for like $50, and a lot of them got thrown into like mystery boxes. So now there's a ton out there on the market. I'm not sure if there's any of these left. I think SW Randall still has a couple of these, actually, now that I think about it. But the Basecamp Expedition, criminally underrated yo-yo. One of my favorites, and I feel like I'm the only one that ever has one, at least whoever has one out with them that I ever see. I'm often just carrying one, and I'm generally the only guy in the room with one, especially at like yo-yo contests and stuff. So Basecamp Expedition, excellent yo-yo, underrated yo-yo, number 2. And the number 1, the most underrated yo-yo I think that came out at least within the last few years, is the first release from Rain City Skills. This is the Rain City Skills Hipster High Life. I have mine in Beer Snob. I love this colorway. Absolutely one of the best colorways that I have ever seen on a yo-yo. Designed by my friend Jeremy, Mr. Yo-Yo Thrower up in Canada. Machined by One Drop. And then anodized by Gruntbull. I mean, it's pretty much everything you want in a premium yo-yo. I think these retailed for $110 American, and I'm sure the price point is really probably what kind of kept it off other people's radar for it being a mono metal. But machined by One Drop, made in America, anodized by Gruntbull. I mean, there were no shortcuts taken. This is as premium can get. Beautiful splashes. They came with Legos. The unboxing experience was just unbelievable. It came in like a candle tin. You had to like unscrew it. It was great. Lots of extras. It came with a pouch. It came with extra Legos. It came with just everything. Literally just everything. Extra artisan strings. I saved this one so that I could talk about it later after I strung it up. But extra, like artisan strings that matched the colorways. I mean, this was just, you know, the cream of the crop. Absolutely as nice as it could get as far as yo-yos were concerned. And I think there's still some available, and it's been out for like a year. So if you haven't picked one up, or if you've been on the fence about it, I don't know if it's worth it. It absolutely is. This is everything you want in a sort of just, you know, premium yo-yo, a premium mono-metal yo-yo, made in America, anodized by Gruntbull. Great unboxing experience, great customer service. Jeremy, Mr. Yo-Yo Thrower, is a great dude, and this is a great yo-yo, and it's criminally underrated, and I think it's amazing. I try to keep it nice. I don't take it out much because it is expensive, but I throw it a ton at home, and I think I'm going to bring it with me when I go to Nationals, and I think Jeremy and I are going to maybe have a little sip of beer out of our hipster high lifes, because why not? We'll be hanging out together. It'll be good. It'll be a good time. But yeah, number 1 most underrated yo-yo, the hipster high life. It's great. If you see me, come talk to me. You can try it. I should have it. Maybe on me. We'll see. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know, did I miss anything? Do you guys think that there's other underrated yo-yos? What's your most underrated yo-yo? What do you think yo-yo just doesn't get enough hype, doesn't get the credit it deserves for being awesome? Tell me down in the comments. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Cheers to you. I'll see you next time.